Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bright Founders Talk at Temi. Temi is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers software for sustainable businesses and promising startups. Welcome to our podcast, where we bring you the most inspiring stories of entrepreneurs and experts in the software development industry. Now, each week we interview successful leaders who share their unique journeys and valuable insights. I'm your host, Barry. Now, today we're lucky enough to have a remarkable guest joining us, Alexander Tilkin, who is the CTO of Complyt. Alexander, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Lovely. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thank you. I have my coffee. All set.
Perfect. Sounds like we're ready to go. So thank you firstly for taking the time out of your day to speak with us. I know you're busy and we do appreciate it. But let's start by getting to know you a little bit better. So would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and the company you work at?
Sure, absolutely. So I'll start from the company. The name of our company is Complyt. It was founded in November 22. The purpose of the company is to help companies who operate in the United States to organize and do their taxes, and with a focus on sales tax. So a little bit about myself. My name is Alex. I'm 38 years old, married with children. I live in Tel Aviv, Israel. In terms of education, I have bachelor's in software engineering, master's in computer science, and MBA. I studied in different universities. I come from a very long technical experience from different technical companies. Here I am today in Complyt.
Did you always know that you wanted to be a CTO? Was it something that you thought, I want to be an entrepreneur when I grow up?
No. Actually, no. I never this thought. I never heard of, when I started my first years in the bachelor's degree, I never heard of, I knew that I want to to deal with code, but I never thought that I will be a CTO. And when I joined my first role in Radvision, which was a very big successful company, and started to learn that what is a CTO, and say, I will never get to those positions. It's very, very like high position. And now that you do it, it's like, okay, it's not so intimidating as you thought it was. Like, when I was like 10 years younger, right? It's fun, by the way. It's an amazing job, I think. CTO.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Lovely. So thank you for sharing that with us. So there are a couple of questions I'd just like to ask you. In terms of like your key moments, so could you just share some key moments in your career that you believe played a crucial role in preparing you for the role of a CTO?
So I think what builds a character are the challenging times and not the successes. When I was in my previous role, when I was a R&D manager, I was it was a very challenging role because I was managing different domains that I didn't have experience in, and it was the first time that I was actually have to build teams, and I had to train people. And before that, I was a very good engineer. I was a very good technical lead, but I was never had the experience to be a manager. And there is a huge gap between being a good manager and a good engineer. It takes different characteristics. It takes different qualities in a person. And I think during that time, I learned a lot about how to build a team, or how to develop a certain person into a certain trajectory that you think it will be beneficial for him or her, of course, and the company. So he wants to create a synergy between the individual and the company. And this is a good deal because both sides wins, right? There's a synergy. So for instance, like if I try to reflect on today's challenges, when we're building like teams here, like regardless if it's R&D, customer success, solutions, sales, marketing, whatever you look at, so you're always thinking that, okay, I have this team and I need to add like another resource, and you ask yourself like, okay, so what is the quality? Besides that, it's a high quality candidate, that's for sure, but what measurable qualities do we need to add to the team to make it much better. So if I can reflect it to soccer, so for instance, so when Real Madrid is looking for a great football player and they need, for instance, a striker, they're not looking like, okay, give me just the best striker in the world. That doesn't work. They're looking for different personal characteristics, like more analytic person, more charismatic person, more entrepreneurial person, and every characteristic brings something else to the team. So if you have in the team a lot of entrepreneurial spirit, so maybe it won't be a great idea to add another entrepreneur to the company, to the team. Maybe you need someone who is more, like administrative or more analytical, or more like a team player who integrates everyone together. So this domain I was never thinking of, but actually it's a very good way of thinking of how to build good team. Another thing is that remember when I wrote my thesis, it was my first biggest project that I ever done. It took me 2 years. We actually made some interesting discoveries, and this, regardless the experience of working with very smart people, I think it trained me to understand that things take time. So it's a process. And if you want to reach something good, then you have to work you need to embrace the uncertainty, and you need to learn to live in it. And it's okay. Because like the most interesting stuff takes time to uncover, it takes time to learn. This very helped me today in Complyt, because it takes time to build good products. It takes time to conquer different domains and customers, and you work with a team, so not everybody aligned in their level of professionalism in different aspects. So it's a process of learning, and it's a process of evolving together. So this was a very crucial moment. I try to learn from everything everywhere where I go. As I think to be a CTO in a startup, it's a little bit different than being a CTO in big company, because I never been a CTO in a big company, but from just and my inner gut just went from an intuition. I think that here, so for instance, I deal a lot with with financial stuff, with budgets and costs and revenues and cash revenues and ARRs and active ARR, and how do we onboard customers and how do we activate them quite quicker. So regardless of, okay, so you built a good product that's very competitive on the market. Customers want your product, but that's great. It's like building a really good country club, but there are no highways to this country club. Like they are very like not so good. So customers want to reach your country club, but it's very hard. So now you, as a CTO, you need to work with your team, like the other side of the company, and to understand how to improve the operation side around the product. And it actually puts me in very interesting situations in life, and I learn a lot from it. It's very, it's amazing.
How did your personal experience and like passion contribute to the inception of Complyt?
So first of all, I think, I want to believe that I'm a very down to earth person. I actually believe that the best idea in the room should win, and not the highest rank should win. I really work toward that attitude. I'm a I'm a strong believer that in modern uh, industries, companies don't need layers and layers of management and hierarchy in order to move faster and in the more correct way. I think the opposite is the truth. So we are actually a very flat organization, and I do believe also that uh, companies win due to resourcefulness and not resources. And what does it mean? Is that um, although I strong believer in a deep understanding of domains, and that, for instance, if an engineer or someone, regardless who or she is, wants to do a certain task, I think that he needs to understand the depth of the domain and why he does that. As in every in every profession. But however, in small companies like ours, resourcefulness have to play also a crucial role. So for instance, I do believe strongly in product-oriented software engineers. What does it mean? It means that the engineer who develops a certain feature, he actually communicates with the customer. He is involved in the customer's pain, and he sees eventually also the reaction of the customer to what he developed, and then he can actually understand if it's good, if it's bad. He doesn't need this extra man in the middle who will translate it for him. Of course, we have a product manager, but he also does other stuff. He does CS, he does sales. And when you create a resourceful people in the company, then it creates a very strong DNA. It creates a very strong, true commitment to the product, right? This is how I work. I really, there is an interesting book from some former Navy SEAL called Extreme Ownership, and I love this book. I think there is like 80% of the book, it's a little bit cliche, but the core principle of this highly trained military unit of extreme ownership, where you are the owner of everything what happens around you. So for instance, if someone did a mistake, you need to ask yourself, what could you do to prevent him from doing this mistake? And I love it. I think it's a great humble approach for anyone. That's how I think, and I try to build the organization that way, and for now it works for us.
So do you enjoy having to wear lots of different kind of hats and having different roles? Is that something that you actually really enjoy, or do you prefer to be more of a specialist?
So I try. It's amazing question. So actually, right now I have this tension of first of all, I have my own project that I want to develop something in the company, and I don't have the time anymore. Like 2 years ago, while I was just like coming to the office, opening my laptop, and just working. Like I was researching, I was developing, I was delivering. But now I have, like meeting with investors and interviews and this and that and that and that and that. And I actually put, like blocks of time in my calendar. So like nobody can override my time to learn and to develop. But I think, I do what is required. So like 2 years ago, I had to build a product. Now the product is working. We hired a team of R&D. We have solutions. We have CS. So people are working on this infrastructure. So I can address myself, and I can invest my time in things that moving the needle for the company in a way that I couldn't do it 2 years ago. So for instance, if we take, for instance, like this show, right? So I think that doing a podcast when you have like 5 lines of code in your product, it's a little bit arrogant. But now that we have a moving product, we have a sales team, we actually have, like cash flow and things are moving, then I need to focus on maybe like on the brand and, like being out there and showing, speaking about Complyt and, like, so maybe this is the right thing to do. I hope so.
That's the problem, isn't it? When you're popular and in high demand, you've got all these competing tensions, haven't you?
I don't know if I'm popular, but yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. So you mentioned at the start about Complyt, and you gave a brief summary of how it works, but could you just explain how Complyt's product works in terms of simplifying and automating the sales tax process for businesses?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So first of all, we are in our core, we're an API product. It means that we first of all build a strong backend, strong engine and algorithms, very fast algorithms, and efficient and also accurate, which is very important. And we wrapped it with a REST API in GraphQL. And after we had that, we were targeting customers that are using different ERP systems. So, for instance, like NetSuite, Zoho, QuickBooks, Shopify, Priority, Sage, Stripe, and we started integrating with those different ERPs. So every customer have a financial unit, and they use different ERPs, right? So what we do, we were just selling this plugin for those ERPs, and This is where our first step. Then we develop our own web UI, so customers could see in details their sales tax situation. And then we started to interact with B2C customers. And the difference between B2B and B2C customers is that basically it's a trend. B2B customers, they have a low volume of transaction, but every transaction is high in the value. So for instance, a B2B customer may have, I don't know, 10 or 20 deals a month, but every deal will be $50,000, just like throwing in the air. And the B2C customer, they might have 10 million transaction a month, but every transaction will be $10, right? So this is a very two different characteristics of customers, because they require different maturity of product. Because we don't care about the number that is written in the transaction in terms of infrastructure, because there's not a lot of processing to do. But when you have 10 million transactions a month, then your product needs to be high available. It needs to be it needs to be high performing. It needs to consume all your infrastructure and resources wisely. Your network topology is important. So suddenly all the engineering kicks in. Basically, what we are doing right now, one of our major strategic advantage in the market is our performance time. So, for instance, we are able, and it's measured, and it is measured also, and so measured by our customers. We are able to process around 80 transactions in a second, where every transaction is processed in 40 milliseconds, which is good. Okay, and it's very important for B2C customers. Why? Because think of when you use a social network or like Amazon, and you want to have a good user experience from Amazon when you click and you buy something, or I don't know, when you buy something on Instagram or whatever. So you want quick response. So basically, the performance of Instagram is dependent on our performance, on our calculation. So I wish that Instagram will be our customers, but just an example.
And actually, it is actually a crowded market out there. It's highly competitive. What sets Complyt apart from other sales tax automation platforms?
Yeah, so actually it's not so crowded. It is crowded, but a little bit, not so crowded. It's very surprising. But what sets us apart from the competitors is, first of all, we do our performance is 4 or 5 times faster than the best performing customer in the market. Although we are small, when we engineered the core of the product, this was in my mindset, just from an intuition. It was very, very important aspect, and it is actually plays a great benefit for us, because customers actually look at this, especially customers who consume our API directly and not through an ERP. Also, we do auto filings. So actually, it's a very interesting feature that we developed. We do the filing for you. It's a very consuming. It's a great work, and what we do is that we collect, because we process all your transactions. We collect all your transactions, build the reports. We communicate directly with every state. We submit all the filings. So it's a lot of headache, and we do it automatically and seamlessly. From my understanding, as today, we are the only company in the competition who actually do it, and it's very important. And also, there are a lot of operational stuff like CS. We put a huge effort on providing a superior customer success for our customers. Especially, we know that our customers are people from finance, and we know that our product is in the critical path of the financial unit is a critical path for every organization, because with no money there is no company. And we know that we have to be always available for our customer and provide the best service that they need. We also provide, it's not a competitive advantage, but it is something that customers are really care about. So for instance, also, like I can say about myself, we use different like product in our infrastructure, right? So there are companies who, for instance, I know that I pay 6 times more than I could have paid to their competitors, but they have such a great customer success, and they always there for me, and they always answer, and their response time is like near hours via email, regardless the fact that their product actually works amazingly. But what I can say that CS is a crucial point for the success of the business.
Sounds amazing, and it sounds like you're doing great work and you're quite innovative within this sphere. So as we talk about innovation, how does Complyt approach innovation within the sales tax automation space? And what role does technology play in like maintaining a competitive edge?
Right. So first of all, we build our competitive edge according to our customer needs. Okay. So we don't believe that we should look at, for instance, large language model as a competitive edge. No, this is just a tool. So our approach is ask ourselves, okay, what the customer needs and how do we address that? Do it better than anyone else. And by doing those small steps every time, you eventually, if you aggregate all the stuff that you do better than customers, you create a competitive edge. Because competitive edge is not just some like secret algorithm that you develop that nobody else can do this. This is not a competitive edge. Competitive edge is the whole DNA that you create in a company, and this you build it step by step. So for instance, we also like have our own sales tax rates engine. And just to give you a small history about this not interesting domain, uh, so there were like basically there are 3 or 4 sales tax rates engine in the world. One of them was acquired by the biggest player in the domain, and those other who left for public use are two of them are not accurate, and one of them is accurate but very slow and expensive. So, and this is a core print. It's a core module in this in our product. So we just developed our own stuff. And it works amazingly. It's very accurate. It's very fast. And this is actually a very, very important intellectual property in our product, because this is the core of everything, basically. And this is I don't say if it's competitive edge, because it is doable. Like if someone wants to develop this, he will do it eventually, as we did, right? But there is a difference, I say, between a will and actually an act. So there is a gap between those two words. So yeah, so we did this, and also like to design the whole network topology and infrastructure, as we discussed before, to make it scalable and to make it work well. It requires a lot of thinking and effort, especially also like when there's a different, when R&D growth is growing, I'm sorry. So there are becoming different internal obstacles of operating a product internally. So also designing the whole continuous integration and continuous delivery pipelines, and make it smooth, and make it testable, and make it resilient to changes, and make it resilient to a lot of to R&D growth, right? Uh, it's also a huge challenge. So it's very important to note that our product cannot go down, right? As I said, that we are processing about an average 5 million transactions a month. It means that we are processing about 5 to 10 transactions every second on average. Okay, it means that we cannot go down. It means that when we're delivering new features to the product, so the whole rolling updates process actually have to be resilient to shutdowns. And I know that a lot of people writing interesting and fancy blogs and showing different and fancy interesting videos on YouTube, but there is a huge gap between talking about this in theory or making a small proof of concept and actually building a production resilient product in the market who actually do this.
I think you downsold it a little bit. I did find that very interesting. So I think you're being a bit humble with that. But thank you for sharing that with me.
Yeah.
So you mentioned challenges in your previous comment. So what have been the challenges in Complyt's journey so far, particularly in the development and growth of the product?
So I think the major challenge that we experience is in the customer success. It's a very it's a little bit different onboarding customer activation process than other classic cloud products. Why? Because it's not like, for instance, let's take Riverside. Okay, you want to use the product. I never did this, but I guess you sign up. Okay, you have, I guess, a free trial. You use it. It's nice. You love it. You pay for it and you use it. That's it. It's very simple. It doesn't work like this in taxes. So if you want to use our product, there is a friction that both sides need to go through. So it means that we need to collect all your past transactions for the past like 4 or 5 years. We need to analyze everything. We need to understand where do you have tax exposures in different states. We need to get an acceptance from you, like the customer, if we can register you to the different states that you're already exposed. Then we register you, do the filing, organize your data, and then we onboard, we integrate our product into your ERP, if you use ERP, right? And after everything runs, we do like a user acceptance stance, and then you're good to go. So this whole process of activating the customer, it actually makes the process of putting the first penny in the bank quite longer. So it takes time from the agreement to the first penny in the bank, and we want always to reduce the time. So just to let you know, on average, this is another competitive advantage, by the way. Now I'm thinking about this. On average, our other players in the market who actually they do amazing job. Yeah, don't get me wrong here, but it takes about, from what we hear from our customers, it takes about 2 to 4 months for them to integrate the customer. The integration might cost between $80,000 to $90,000, and they also require HR from the customer to be involved in the integration. So we do everything on our side. We basically accept asking some professional question the customer. We try to do all the work, and our integration might take like a day or two. Okay, so there is huge gap between the time, the effort, the pricing, and this is a very important part.
Amazing. Do you know what, Alex? I could listen to you talk all day, but unfortunately, time is the enemy here. So I just want to thank you so much for sharing your experience and talking about Complyt with us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Barry.
Lovely. That was Alexander Tilkin, CTO of Complyt.